Hi, my name is Colleen, and today I'm going to be talking to you about Picture Exchange Communication System. Picture Exchange Communication System is otherwise known as PECS, and it's an aided picture icon-based augmentative system designed for individuals who are nonverbal or have limited verbal skills and hopefully emerging verbal skills. PECS is most commonly used with individuals with autism spectrum disorder and related diagnosis. PECS encourages the initiation of communication. It pairs icons with highly preferred and reinforcing items. In the beginning phases of PECS, it requires that someone else acts as a physical prompter. So the person learning PECS is guided without the use of verbal prompting. So that physical prompter is purely there just to physically help that child hand over that icon. So the physical prompter fades out as the child becomes more independent with PECS. So some of the pros to PECS is that progress can be obtained really quickly, especially if the individual is presented with items that are determined to be highly motivating to them. So you most likely will have to do a preference assessment or a reinforcement assessment first. Typically, maladaptive behaviors will decrease as a result because when they have frustration due to not being able to communicate functionally, as they learn functional communication, they're going to learn that their communication is powerful, and you're going to start seeing those maladaptive behaviors decreasing. Another pro for PECS is that there's no prerequisite training for the individual that's learning how to use PECS. There is training obviously for the adult who will be presenting the PECS system. However, the training is not overly complicated and the steps are broken down and they're pretty easy to follow. Some of the cons to PECS is that the person that's learning to use the PECS has to be able to physically grasp the icon and hand it to the communication partner. So if they don't have that physical ability to do that, they won't be able to use PECS effectively. Another con is that some children have difficulty in discriminating between the real object that they're wanting and the stick-like, more generic representation in the PECS design. For example, if a child is wanting this glass of water and this is the icon that PECS has for water, they're not in identical matching. So the child will have to be able to reference that this icon means this glass of water. So if that's difficult, you might have to scale back to identical matching pictures. The last con that I'm going to talk about is that PECS requires that an individual have their communication book at all times because you're essentially, they're creating a vocabulary and that's their voice. So when they aren't packing around their binder, it's kind of unethical in a way because you're essentially taking their voice away and their ability to communicate their wants and their needs. So when an individual starts, they are just going to have a few PECS as they learn to use this communication system. But as they develop quite a repertoire of vocabulary, they're going to have pages, such as in this binder. This is just, a nice small starting out PECS binder, but they have, pages for food. There's pages for toys, activities maybe within their school day. There's places, home activities and routines. They have emotions, they have signs, and then some actions. So as their vocabulary increases, they will theoretically have more pages and more icons, and I've seen kids pack around binders that are this big. So that's a good time to maybe consult with a speech and language pathologist and see if it's time to maybe move over into utilizing an iPad, maybe with the ProLoco To Go app, or getting a Pranky device or something similar to that. So there are 6 phases to PECS. And I'm going to model PECS phase 3 today. So PECS phase 1 is just a physical exchange. So that is when the child is taught to hand the icon to the communication partner. And that could just even be a blank icon. It could even really just be a sticky note if you're just teaching the child to request anything that they're wanting. And so that's when you have that physical prompter. And they are only helping the child to place that PEC in the communication partner's hand in order to receive what they want. And then PECS Phase 2 is expanding spontaneity. So that's essentially the same protocol, except that they are taught what's called distance and persistence. So they're maybe moving about the room opposed to being right there in front of the communication partner. And then you will essentially move maybe throughout different rooms of a home or different rooms of the school. And they will go to their communication binder, find their PEC, and bring it to you to receive their reinforcer. PECS Phase 3 is picture discrimination. So that's when they're taught to begin to discriminate between icons to represent a choice that they want to make. PECS Phase 4 is sentence structure. So that's when the child actually seeks out their PECS board and they start creating a sentence. So here's an example in this book. This is the sentence strip. So there's a PEC for I want, and then they could put the water, please, or I want red car, and then they will pull off this sentence strip and hand the strip to the communication partner. In PECS Phase 5, they will be taught to start responding to WH questions, such as, what do you want? And then they will build the sentence. And then lastly, Phase 6 is commenting, where the child is actually taught to respond to a question like, what do you see? So maybe the child is riding in a vehicle and they're asked, what do you see? And they build on their sentence strip, I see a yellow car. And then they're participating in conversations with others. So I have a hypothetical client here that is going to model for us PECS Phase 3. So she will be discriminating between some choices. What do you want? Water. I want water. Nice asking for water. What do you want? Cake. I want cake. That's good. What do you want? Vegetables. I want vegetables. There's vegetables. Yum. Do you want anything else? Water. I want water. Okay. Thank you for watching. That is our model of PECS Phase 3. Thank you.